Welcome to Ibogaine Uncovered. I'm your host, Talia Eisenberg. Today's episode is about what happens after the cheers fade, when the body survives but the brain begins to fracture. Across contact sports, repeated head trauma has left generations of athletes struggling with memory loss, depression, anxiety, and early cognitive decline. And for most of them, there has been no real path to healing. Today, you'll hear from 3 athletes who live that reality. Chris Simpson-Daniel is a former professional rugby player in the UK, one of thousands now involved in a historic class action lawsuit against rugby's governing bodies for the long-term brain damage caused by repeated collisions. Mark Irwin, known as Mark the Shark, is a bare-knuckle champion whose career reflects the extreme physical and neurological demands placed on modern fighters. And Mike Guymon, the Joker, is a retired MMA veteran whose story embodies the harsh reality of what fighters give and what they're left with when the spotlight disappears. Together, they came looking for solutions to traumatic brain injury and early onset dementia, and found something few athletes are ever offered: the possibility of recovery. This is a conversation about pain, identity, accountability, and healing. This is Ibogaine Uncovered. It's great to be with you all. Thank you for being on Ibogaine Uncovered. We'll start with Chris Simpson-Daniel.
Hi.
Chris is a former professional rugby player in the UK, one of thousands of former players involved in a landmark class action lawsuit against rugby's governing bodies and other sports governing bodies for repeated head trauma and long-term brain injury. Chris represents an entire generation of rugby players now facing cognitive decline, depression, and early dementia. We have Mark Irwin, Mark the Shark, he's known as, professional MMA fighter and bare-knuckle champion known for his aggressive style and durability. Mark represents active and recently retired fighters who push their bodies and brains to the edge before fully understanding the long-term neurological costs. And we have Mike Guymon, known as the Joker, who's a retired professional MMA fighter who competed at the highest levels and later became known for his honesty about the physical and psychological toll of the sport. Mike's career reflects the hurt business reality of MMA and the long road athletes face after the lights turn off. It's such a pleasure to have you all here, especially towards the end of our first athletes cohort at Beond, really focusing on the healing of TBI and early onset dementia with Ibogaine. I didn't know much about TBI actually in sports and high contact sports, but I was shocked to find out that like 70 million people around the world have TBIs. And I guess 20%, I read that 20% of people going to the ER have TBIs from sports injuries. So it's a big issue. And there's really no approved treatments to treat the core underlying causes. There's a lot of medications pushed, but, depression, suicidality, lack of concentration. You feel very isolated, and it's something that happens over time slowly for athletes. So yeah, let's talk about the real stories and healing that's possible for, I'm sure many people will hear this who don't have hope, who've lost hope, who have experienced TBIs, whether the veterans or people in car accidents or athletes. So yeah, let's talk first about how you guys each got into the sport and what fighting or rugby gave to you.
Mike, you want to kick it off?
Go, you're the oldest.
I'll kick it off. How did I get into the sport? I was just a very high-level athlete from the get-go. Found my enjoyment being outside, being active. Home life wasn't that great, even though I grew up in a very amazing neighborhood in Irvine, California, one of the safest cities in America. It's still possible to craft home life. And so I found that outside and went from baseball. Then when I walked away from baseball, I was trying to, still find that camaraderie, that little, group that I'm active with. And I just fell into fighting. I always started training in a gym in Lake Forest, California, actually with Ian McCall, who is the athletes cohort. Founder, heading it up with Mark over here. And it just took off from there. I was just, I learned really quickly the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling aspect of it. I was a natural striker. When I was going to support, I got good enough to help train or get our fighters ready for upcoming fights. Went to a fight, somebody backed out of a fight, and they're like, hey, you kick our butt. Why don't you jump in there? And it just kind of wrote itself from there. So that's how I got into
And you loved it. What did it do for you?
I loved the camaraderie, us all helping, pulling in the same direction, even though you're the one fighter in there doing it on your own. You had other fighters with you, training with you, pushing you, making you better. That family, it's just such a tight family. No matter, I know you'd agree with this, but it doesn't matter how much time has gone past, how much space, wherever. I run into a fighter I haven't seen in 10 years, and it's like nothing's ever passed. You just pick up right where you left off, and it's such a good feeling.
The connection, brotherhood.
Yeah, that brotherhood and connection is what really did it for me. I wasn't the aggressive guy that I got to rub antlers and prove myself. It was all about that for me.
And Mark, is that similar? I mean, is there this sense of also, I don't know, many people coming from, backgrounds, I don't know if this is true for you, but there's trauma, and then you have a family connection that's bigger than that you find through these sports. How did you get into it?
I had a very different road as far as how I got into combat sports. I always say I'm actually not supposed to be here. I was a terrible athlete as a kid. I was the worst athlete of all my siblings. My mom always used to call me her artist because I love to draw, and she said, Mark's going to be an artist when he gets older. I didn't play sports in high school. It wasn't until after high school I got into fitness. I started running. I got really addicted to that, which led to me running track in college. I was decent, but not great. I ended up dropping out of school, and I was looking for something to do athletically, and some friends of mine had been taking boxing lessons in a garage from a guy who worked at a local gym, so they brought me along one day. I beat up all my friends on the first day, and they're like, oh, you must be good at this, right? And I really enjoyed doing it, so I took to it pretty quickly. I started training regularly. After a couple months, I said, you know what? I bet I could knock someone out, like in a real fight. And so just for laughs, really, for the story and for the memories, I decided I'd have one amateur fight, which I did. I ended up knocking someone out. I shortly thereafter got a job working part-time as a coach at LA Boxing Aliso Viejo. And once I started working there, people were like, well, you work here now, you should keep fighting. So I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I ended up winning a couple state championships with USA Boxing. And then, I didn't think I wanted to go pro. I told myself all the reasons it didn't make sense. You're too old, you started too late, you're not going to make any money, you can get seriously hurt. But I had read that psilocybin could be good for people that have had traumatic brain injuries, and I had a lot of concussions as a result of boxing in my 20s. So I started microdosing. I started using it with my workouts and getting really good results. And it was somewhere along that line that it sparked within me the desire to go professional because I just wanted to have those experiences. And I started boxing professionally in Tijuana during the pandemic. And it was around this time I was watching YouTube one day and I saw a bare-knuckle fight. And I was like, this is crazy. I ended up watching a couple fights, and it was there I surmised that I could actually get in there and be successful. So I started talking to Ian, who is my friend. And I said, hey, what would you think if I did bare-knuckle? And he's like, why the hell would you want to do that? And I said, well, because I think I could be good at it, and I think I could win a world championship, and we could travel the globe, and it could lead to all kinds of other opportunities. And he said, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And we shook hands, and I told him that day, I said, I promise I'm going to make you a champion again, this time as a coach. And we've been on this journey ever since. And it's been the most fulfilling, exciting experience of my entire life.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
And what about you, Chris?
Mine's very different to the guys here. I was, my dad, I went into a prep school and I took to rugby very quick. I took to sort of cricket, hockey. So I was doing what I think you guys would call state for 3 different sports. And then the bigger schools come in with bigger scholarships. Ultimately, I had to choose sort of 16, 17. I was probably better at rugby than cricket and hockey. And rugby was just going professional. So I was one of the very first to come through at sort of 17, signed a pro contract. I'd played all the England junior levels all the way through. 6 days a week for sport for me, it was my release. I probably would have been a tear away and got in trouble if I didn't have that.
It saved your life.
I saved my life. It gave me direction. I could have been okay in class, but all I was thinking about is when's the next PE, when's the next sport, and that was me and my three.
Loved it.
Yeah, my three younger brothers are similar. We sort of ditched class, not ditch, you couldn't, but it was all about the sports for us. And they all went professional. They all played for England at different levels as well. So there's four of us. I had to retire fairly young. I was sort of 23, 24 with the third ACL reconstruction, and it was just, the pain. But no, sport was my release. I needed it, and the team games more so. Tennis and all them, I respected them, but I liked the interaction. I like that you're on the line, especially in rugby. We don't have the pads and things that the footballers over here do. So it is not life and death. But you can get it from all ends and every injury. And I think rugby guys, I still respect the game. I love it and watch it. I think they're, a bit more complete athletes. They're not brought on and off. They have to stay on the pitch all the way through the game. And you have to pass, tackle, kick, and have all the skills. So.
Yeah, it's very intense. It's a culture of collisions where head injuries.
It is, yeah.
Head injuries are normalized.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's anything like a war zone, but each time you go on, when there's 15 of you, you know that, at any point, you can never play the game again. So there is that risk, one bad tackle and you're done, especially pro. So look, I wouldn't change anything, obviously what's going on with the head injuries, but mine developed after that and more, as I said, more so the training because the cameras were on the pitch. But the cheap shots that used to come in and the, banter, but you still take a hit to the head from behind. But, we weren't told. We weren't informed. So.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about this UK class action lawsuit and why it matters? Why is it important? How many people are involved?
It's growing by the day, and even amateurs now that, play in that because, can play contact rugby and, Tuesday and Thursday night at their local club and then play on a Saturday or Sunday. These amateurs who played for 40 years now getting diagnosed with this. So the lawsuit's going on because so many athletes, I think it's 39 dead in the last 5 years, rugby union, rugby league, footballers, there's a couple of footballers or soccer players, because there's no help for them. They're unable to work full time. Not many come out with enough money to look after them for the rest of their lives. So the governing body sort of knew in the 70s. I've tried to stay impartial with it. I'm part of the lawsuit to grab the attention, to push the attention and get them financial support because they're going to need care for the rest of their lives. Yes. Yeah. And some of these guys are in their 30s and 40s. So there's nowhere for them.
So really there should be an agreement that's set up prior to playing that, look, this is high risk and we will take care of you. If you want to put your life at risk, we'll take care of you the rest of your life.
Yeah. And I'm aware that there's people in the England squad now that have already had scans in their 30s and got markers. But
so they were basically put back on the field within a few days. And so the organizations knew that they were not well and put them back on their, disposal.
And then took another hit and another hit. So it intensified. You've already got a damage to the head or a bleed, and you take another one while you're vulnerable. You're maximizing it. I don't know all the medical parts to that. All I know is, I watch guys and girls I've played with, guys and girls, guys and myself, that we take huge hits. They put things in play now, but, back in the 90s, 80s, there wasn't. And the club doctors were employed by the clubs. So, it's, as I said, I try and, it's going on because they need help long term.
This is a systemic issue.
The average age in a care home is 80 odd in England. How are you going to put him, me, or him, for example, with 80-year-olds? We're just going to fall through the floor. We're just going to give up, and that's why so many have. So that's why it's going on.
Thanks for sharing that. That's an important lawsuit that's happening. Mark, so you were a fighter young. There's this bare-knuckle culture. There's this pressure to keep going and keep fighting, and it sounds like you might currently still continue. I guess that depends. Can you talk a little bit about the warning signs of TBI and the pressure to continue, even though, you were experiencing these symptoms over time more and more?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed cognitive decline over the last 10, 15 years as a result of all the brain injuries I've had in combat sports. I had a couple famous ones. I had the worst hematoma in combat sports history. It got me a blue check mark on Instagram because they wrote so many articles about it. Mark the Shark grows a second head at BYB 22.
We should put an image. I just saw for the first time that image you showed me before this podcast. We should flash that right now.
Yeah.
It is like, wow, there's a gargoyle.
Yeah.
Like, that's about forming out of your head.
Yeah. It made newspapers in Brazil, Russia, right? It was on ESPN, Men's Journal, Barstool Sports.
So crazy.
I think
so. It was glorified in a way. I mean, and you know, we can laugh about it, but I mean, that must have really hurt.
Yeah, it was the most pain I've ever had in my life. The hematoma was superficial, and it's certainly grotesque to look at, but I also broke my nose and my jaw in that fight. I developed rhabdomyolysis as a result of it. It was the longest fight in the modern era of bare-knuckle, and it was at 5,000 plus feet elevation in Denver, Colorado. So I can remember sitting in the ICU of the ER at Denver Medical, just crying my eyes out because I'm in the most physical pain I've ever been in my life. But to your point, it was the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame Fight of the Year award winner.
Did you have your ear?
Yeah, they had to stitch my ear back together. So it was very much glorified, right? I can remember sitting in that hospital thinking, I never want to do this again. And then I looked at my phone and just fighters from all over the world, people I'd never even met, people I looked up to on TV were messaging me, DMing me, like, you won that fight, champ, go back, get your belt back. Like, you're always, and so I was like, damn it. I got to go back.
The glorification, yes, the pressure to continue.
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem, too, is that when you really commit your life to this, I've spent the last 15 years of my life training and competing. So I don't really have work history. I don't really have employable job skills as a result. It's become a big part of my identity, right? I'm Mark the Shark, right? So who am I if I'm not that? And what do I do if I'm not doing that, right? And that's one of the reasons I've really taken this year off from competitive fighting and poured myself into the nonprofit Athlete's Journey Home, which was founded by my coach, mentor, and dear friend, Ian McCall, who used to be my favorite fighter. And we provide psychedelic therapies for athletes and fighters with traumatic brain injuries. And then we do data collection before and after through brain scans, blood work, gut biome, and saliva testing before and after so that we can measure the results and prove the effectiveness of these treatments. And I'm very fortunate to be able to have that because a lot of fighters don't have another avenue that they can get into. They don't have a new identity that they can establish after fighting, and so they get lost, right? They don't have a direction.
Right. Now you have the ability to be of service and take the wisdom from the years of fighting and help others, essentially. Well, let's talk about that soon. I do want to ask Mike about your long career and accumulated damage and what was that like and how did it finally catch up to you? What did that look like for you in your mind and your, physically, you told me earlier that you had trouble getting on the airplane, like walking physically. But yeah, I'd love to hear more just about your experience.
Well, there's a lot to it. I'm 51 years old now. Fought professionally 14 years, hit by 3 different cars, had some of my worst concussions, TBIs, actually outside of the cage and outside of training and fighting. It's been like cycling. I've had some just devastating ones. A day before my 51st birthday, I went down cycling with a high-level group of guys. Bike tire crossed in front of my tire, went face forward, broke the back half of my helmet off, woke up when I was getting put in the ambulance, which is not a good thing because it took a while for it to get there. But I honestly, and I say this all the time when I talk about it, it's just I felt like it took life. It literally took life out of me, that one particular TBI. After a few concussions, I didn't really notice anything. It's the time when time starts catching up with you.
What do you mean by that?
Like off the bat, I really didn't notice anything on my concussions. But over the years,
that's what I read about TBIs. Like they happen slowly over time. It's not one knockout. It's
like smoking cigarettes, right? Mm-hmm. One's not going to kill you, but if you smoke cigarettes for 20, 30, 40 years, you're going to have health problems at the end of the day.
Yeah, it doesn't change overnight, but people who haven't seen you for 3 or 4 years can immediately see it. because they're used to the way you were. So it's gradual.
So you don't even notice it because it's
No.
happening, but others can see if they haven't seen you for a few years.
But then it starts happening so blatantly, like in front of your face, you can't help but to acknowledge what's going on.
Like, what's an example?
I mean, the one that really set it off when I knew there was Parkinson's issue. Well, I didn't know it was Parkinson's issues, but it was me and my girl were arguing. We're, at the house, and at the end of the night, so I don't have a drinking problem. I don't have the alcoholism thing, but I do have a habit at the end of the night having a drink or two of a vodka cranberry, a slice of lime, and a dash of water, and I'm like just trying to take the edge off. I'm in the kitchen and I'm trying to be quiet. I put a glass out there, grab the cranberry juice, grab a vodka, and I go to cut the lime. And keep in mind, I've never had any issues like I'm describing ever. So it's very, you get really it's very traumatic. I guess traumatic. We're athletes. We're used to be able to just frickin'
bounce back.
Bounce back, perform at a high level, always function, But this type of issue that came up, going to cut a lime, I got a big sharp knife and I go to cut the knife and I can't even center the knife on the lime to get a good cut, and I'm getting it on my fingers because of the tremors I was starting to have.
You're about to cut your finger.
Yeah. And then I finally get the knife to set and I go to cut it and I can't push it through the line. And for me, I was just freaking out like, dude, get a hold of yourself. What's going on here? And I'm like, all right, we can't do that. Let's get the ice behind me in the drawer on the pullout. And so I'm like, all right. And I go to get the ice and I can keep myself up. I had to use the range. When I go to the ice drawer, I put both hands on I needed to use the handle to keep me up, and I'm now resting all my weight forward onto my hands, and the handle's about to break. You could hear it creak, 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 creak. I'm listening to it, and I'm still just in disbelief. And I finally could sit a little bit, and I go to pull the drawer, and I couldn't pull it out. And I'm just freaking in my head. I'm screaming like, what the heck is going on here? Couldn't do that.
That's when you really realize that it's gotten bad.
It's gotten really bad.
One 5 weeks ago, I came out the gym into the changing room. I don't know whether it's the light or the angle, and I lost time for 17 minutes. I didn't know where my bag was. I had a full on, it was in Liverpool. I had a full on panic. Couldn't remember my name. Couldn't remember anything. It's the early onset.
Devastating.
Early onset dementia.
And two guys, thank God it was Liverpool. Two guys spotted that I was just in pieces. And got a hold of me, and we went around the changing rooms and all the lockers, and suddenly found my phone that I'd left. And then they tapped the screen, and my kids came up, and suddenly, and it pulled me back. But for 17 minutes, or between 12 and 17, I was gone. It could have been 20 years ago. And I'm hearing more and more frequent ones of them. One poor chap, I won't name him, left his two kids in the room in the kitchen in the high chairs and left the stove on, went into the living room, sat down, fire. This was a while ago, but, broken, and that he could have done that. And then the self-destruct, they hate themselves. And again, like he says.
Talk a little bit about the mood aspects, like the anxiety, the depression, suicidality.
Yeah.
Crushes you.
Yeah.
Going back to that, the kitchen there, getting the ice. Then I started shaking. She notices and is like, honey, what's going on? And you're trying to be the tough guy.
Yeah.
You're taking a hit, like in your head, you're thinking a million different directions. And then previously to this, it's like all the times I've had issues with this, pronouncing a word or getting tied up, my thoughts getting tied up. It's just all layered on top of itself. And then having her needing to walk me to the couches in the living room. And
like the helplessness.
Yeah, helplessness.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't walk. It's
And what do doctors say what the solution is, or do they just say this is permanent, you have to live with it, or who did you go? Yeah, tell me how you tried to seek medical support or to fix it.
Well, here's my medical support. I hate to interrupt on the guys here, but this is literally what was said to me after all the different processes I was going through to get to where I am here today. Is my neurologist sat me down after giving me these tests for Parkinson's and different things like that, and I've utterly just simple stuff like drawing a circle on there.
The clock, right?
Yeah,
That's
drawing the clock,
yeah.
the hands on the clock, and freaking out. Like, I hope people at home can maybe get in this mindset, and other athletes out there or people with TBIs could attest to this in situations we are at. But when you know how to draw a circle, and that's hard for you to do, then, hey, draw the hands, draw the numbers on the clock from, 1 to 12. And then you go to fill that in, and then you get to the 12 and you're like, why is there so much space between there and the, where it should be? Then you have to put the hands, like, it's just stuff like that. It's really disturbing. And my doctor, after seeing me do these tests and utterly do miserable on them, says, well, I can't really tell you exactly until, post-mortem. So when I do your post-mortem autopsy, dead serious.
Yeah.
He's sitting hands distance apart, and he's looking right at me in the eyes saying, hey, when I do your post-mortem autopsy and I take the top of your head off, I'll be able to look in there and say, this is what did it. But I can't technically tell you. Yeah. It's this.
I can't assess right now. Let's wait till you're dead.
Yeah.
That's like,
oh, thanks, doc.
Yeah.
As if it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. And I was crushed. I was very, very emotional.
I'm sure that's
very
awful.
We're 10 years behind. 10 years behind. My GP, general practitioner we had with the NHS, hadn't even heard of CTE 9 months ago. The chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Hadn't heard of it. I had to explain, I had to shout. In fairness, he researched it.
Well, for people listening too, I didn't know what it was till I met you guys recently.
Yeah, I mean...
But doctors should.
Yeah, I mean... I'm not comparing like for
like.
What
is CT? Can you explain?
So it is repeated trauma, which technically you can't do again till your autopsy. But the scans that we're having now pick up the definitive markers, right? You have. And depending on how many markers there are, is how severe and how further on you are. Now, I'm quite lucky being part from Liverpool, part Northeast, that, you have to speak quick in my family or you don't get a chance. So when people say, oh, no, can't see anything wrong with it, well, you don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see the binge episodes where you want the pain in your head to stop. You don't want your family to see you decline, and you don't want friends who watched you on the TV and, said how great you are to see you suddenly struggling with things. And you don't want your children to, this is why I'm building these villages for athletes is, they said, I'd rather be in a village with other, that's gone now.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone now. Yeah.
So don't try and bring it back.
Yeah.
So basically, so you're suffering in silence.
Yes.
Was that your experience too, Mark? You talked about how the trauma to your physical body, but what about the emotional pieces?
I've certainly, like I said, I've noticed cognitive decline. Other people might not be privy to it because, it's, looking at me, I look perfectly healthy. My symptoms are not nearly as severe as these gentlemen. One of the reasons I really got involved with the research that we're doing is because I don't want to be a sad story or a cautionary tale of the pitfalls of professional prize fighting. So a lot of what I'm doing is preventative so that I can have a long, healthy, fulfilling life and not be negatively impacted by the choices I made with my professional career, and also to be able to give back to my fellow fighters. Mike is a local legend where I'm from. He's a pioneer in mixed martial arts, and everybody knows who he is. And sadly, it's not always for the right reasons. Mike had a very famous injury in the cage where, he can tell you about it, but his head was crushed in. He's got steel plates in his orbital bone. And for the last 10 years, his tics, tremors, and suicidal ideation has been well documented in documentaries and whatnot. And that's why we really made it a point of interest to get him involved in this retreat, because nobody is helping these people and there is no treatment course. The doctor just says, we're going to wait till you die and then we'll figure out what it is, right? And that's not acceptable, because we can't just let these people fall by the wayside while these big promotions are making billions and billions of dollars off their blood, sweat, and tears and the years off their life.
These athletes are being disposed of.
Like,
Yeah.
there's another generation
It's
coming
like
through.
prostitution.
Yeah, it's just blood instead of ass, right? And the promoters are the pimps. And as soon as you're no good to them anymore, they just find a young body to put in your place and the show goes on.
That's crazy. Well, let's talk about Ibogaine and how that came into the picture. So the Stanford study, the research was published 2024. Dr. Nolan Williams, the late Dr. Nolan Williams, may he rest in peace. That study showed for special ops, there was 30 of them who had TBI and PTSD, their anxiety, depression, and disability scores were down by around 80%, like a month after Ibogaine. That was remarkable. How did you, we heard a little bit, Mark, about Athlete's Journey Home and the work you're doing, but I'm curious how the two of you heard about Ibogaine and what made you want to say yes.
Well, like I said, Mike was someone that Ian and myself really targeted as an individual who we felt was very much in need of this type of treatment, and we thought that he could benefit from him. And because him and Ian have a previous relationship training through the gyms over the years, we really made an effort to get him involved in this retreat. I have done research on Ibogaine, but this was my first experience with it, so I didn't really know what to fully expect, but I was very hopeful based on the preliminary data, because when you look at it, it's hard to believe, right? It defies medical science and medicine as we know it. And, Mike is now a testament to that.
You're nodding your head. Was it hard for you?
Yes, I'm just regular nodding.
I'm just curious though, it's hard to believe. Was there a part of you that didn't believe it? Was there fear going in, like this might not work because you've been through so much?
I was wishing we met all on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And the question was like, hey, I think Garrig was like, hey, what are you looking to get out? What would you like to get out of this? I've got highly emotional people, and I'm trying not to get emotional now talking about it, but just if people could get in the mindset of their everyday, right? And where I go shopping, where I live, they've seen me, everybody knows me not because I'm a fighter. They know me because I have fun with people. I try and put a smile on people's faces. It doesn't matter how crappy my day is. I'm trying to make other people laugh and give like that. And so everybody knows me, but then one day I go in there, and I usually don't like going out in the public when I'm having it would be like severe tremors, where it's, I used to have like a nonstop head thing. I used to have my arms, and then sometimes when it gets so bad, the stuttering comes out, the movement's hard to do.
So you couldn't even do the basics, like go to the grocery store.
Yeah, so I would every now and then, it took it the heart, how badly it hurt my heart and my psyche and who I am, and giving you, makes me want to commit suicide. I don't want to be around. I don't want to live. I don't want to live my life like that, because I needed to walk around the Newport Coast pavilions, and I'm needing my cart to hold me up. I'm like stiff on the cart. I'm shaking and my head's moving. When I go to reach for things, I would be like, it's not who I am. My identity. So I want something to get rid of that. And I was just praying, please, if I could just get that one thing, it would help me out in my life with just living, then living forward. Like, hey, how am I going to make money? I own a very I'd like to think successful company, and I want to propel it forward. I want to provide for everybody around me in my company which makes me feel good too.
Mhm.
And how am I supposed to do that if I'm functioning like this?
Right. So when Mark reached out, were you were, it sounds like you were hopeful.
I was just hopeful, hoping that, praying that it could just take away that one thing, let alone, the balance issues, let alone running into doorways for as long as I've been running into doorways. I see the doorway. I know the doorway's there. I turn, but I'm turning too soon and I run in the doorway all the time. Or I'm tripping up steps. I'm losing balance. If I go to squat and talk to somebody, I'll fall backwards. Like all these neurological issues I was having, the speech is just stuttering, it's hard to deal with. So, yeah.
How about you, Chris? What made you say yes to Ibogaine?
So Ian McCall, which again, the Athlete's Journey Home, saw what I'm doing at home, which is, I thought, where am I going to go in my 50s with this condition? I'm not going to a care home. So we're building villages, log cabins, where athletes can respite or they can live.
So you're building community centers for athletes after they leave the sport. So
after, either when they're injured during the sport, they can come have a break, but more so supported living. I don't need to be round-the-clock care yet, but I do need help once or twice a week. And rather than being rushed in an ambulance to the hospital and taking up that, I'll have people, or there will be people there. So there might be 50 athletes in one village, the first one in York, where guys and girls like us have our own space. We have a 3-bedroom there where a family comes see us on our good days. But also I can press a button and I've got a carer or a specialist to come in if I'm feeling I'm going to spiral or dark or want to end it or hurt. And they saw what we're doing. And I've been honest with you guys, I was closed as hell on this because we haven't seen it. You so far, so I'm thinking mushrooms, I've heard about this, big trippy stuff, hippie stuff. And I said, look, I can't recommend it to a couple of thousand that are going to go through it, but without knowing about it. Because I have
to do it yourself. You're like, this is weird. So shit. I need to.
I said, look, if it doesn't affect me, I'll say it was great, and Beond were brilliant, and you guys were brilliant. I won't speak badly of it because we're going to try it. And I brought obviously Lee, the boxer from my hometown as well. But if he does anything, I'll shout it from the rooftops. Well, I don't know if we're at that part in the interview yet, but I didn't think it was possible that there was anything out there. I was closed. Absolutely no. It might work for a week.
Well, yeah, so let's talk about we can go into that soon, but let's talk about what the journey itself was like, trauma surface, the Ibogaine experience. I'm sure people want to know what that was like. And
I've never been broken like that, Talia. I watched, this is,
you can cry here. Okay.
No. I've had 250 odd stitches, cuts, operations, whatever you want. And I watched every one back watch this poor kid going through them all in my journey through the Ibogaine journey, and I was battered. I mean,
so you saw all of these
again
replayed moments in your rugby career. Where
before that, I was a bit of a wild. I went over a jump on a BMX. I was told, "Don't do it." I did it. Scraped all my chin to the bone as a 7-8-year-old. 9 years old, I was bouncing on the bed, told not to do it. Bit my tongue off. Then I had to take stitch my.
It showed you all your childhood.
13, I ran through a patio window in Spain. My granddad closed it. I was training because I was ran through it, smashed 120 stitches all over my body. And I had to felt every cut, every piece of glass in my face. So it made me watch all that trauma.
You not only saw it, but you felt it in your body.
I was if it wasn't for your staff, they wouldn't have pulled me out because I was letting all that pain go.
So the medicine, the Ibogaine, was helping you release the physical pain.
It was making me deal with it.
Visually showing you. Yeah. You had to face it all, and then it was healing it at the same time?
The last hour, I'm still processing, these guys have heard it. But the last hour just gave me so much peace with everything that's happened. All the pain that I've been through, all the injuries, all the some of the traumas, life traumas, deaths in the family, things like that, friends. I spoke to 7-8 guys now who've unfortunately killed themselves while we're trying to build these villages and regret that I couldn't get it over the line quicker. All of that sort of made peace with. So I've almost called it, this is my second half. And also when I got my diagnosis, I was told, look, your scans are bad. 7-10 years you're going to be in a care home. So I didn't see a future.
7 to 10 years of being a what?
Care home. 7 to 10
years. A care
years.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I never saw a future of my six children. I couldn't look that far. It made me, I saw my kids with kids. I saw myself being a granddad. Now, I don't know if it's real,
But
I was closed.
You have a vision for the future now that you didn't have, and you have hope. Wow. That's incredible.
I've calmed down. I'm twitchy because I've done a lot of stretching here, and it's great from you guys. You've got me moving. It's given me I see a future, which I thought was closed off. I thought I was just going to get Tempest Group Villages over the line for the athletes. I can leave a little legacy. My kids can be proud. Now I actually see myself in it. And with these guys and girls.
I'm so happy for you.
And that's down to you and to Tom and Beond. I can't thank you enough.
We do it together. It's a pleasure.
I didn't know it was possible.
I'm so happy for you. Mark, what about you? What was your experience like?
My experience was very different. I would say that it is, without question, the most profound and enlightening experience I've ever had in my entire life. I can remember sitting in the bed, and it felt like my brain was spinning one way and my body was spinning the other. And this is going to sound crazy, but all of a sudden I got launched up and in outer space, and I'm flying through space, and I'm looking at Jupiter. And most of my life I had been, for lack of a better word, an atheist. When I started using psychedelics like psilocybin, I started to shift into more of what I'd call a spiritual mindset. But I had all these epiphanies, and the first one was, there is a God. Something does not come from nothing, right? And that was the first light bulb. And then it started to show me all of my relationships, all of my issues with them, all of my opinions and ideas that I had, and all the issues there within. And there was a common thread amongst all these issues, and it was my ego, right? And I would see it in every specific situation, with this relationship, with this incident, with this idea that I hold. And it really completely and utterly dissolved my ego as I know it for the better. And it helped show me how I can be a better person in all of those relationships and all of those places, and, in my mindset.
Remarkable. Yeah. Ibogaine is like AI, but for the soul. It gives I never get old now. It never gets old for me. Thousands of people coming through. It really does give each person what they need. And often they're so vastly different from person to person, where you were dealing with physical pain and the love for your children and your future. Now that you can see, you found a connection to God. You didn't have that before. It was showing you where you can be a better person, where your ego was interfering. And what about you, Mike? What did you experience?
You still haven't shared, have you?
And you don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm curious, Mike.
Don't want to yet. I would like to process it more. I shared it with my coaches a little bit, but I got out of it right off the bat was like, I'm trying not to get emotional right now because this is like such a big thing for me.
You can, because and
yeah. We've had enough of it. We've seen it for a whole week.
Yeah, I've done a lot of crying.
Crying.
Yeah.
Release.
When I got out, and I've always been honest, and we're all super, honest, but this is just straight brutally honest. What I'm about to say is, when I got done with my therapy, we were in together in our treatment.
We did the full 11 hours.
Yeah, 11 hours.
None of us would get up and about the other, because we kept checking on the other one. Quick look, is he still there? I'm staying then.
So you guys were there for each other, taking care of each other.
We just wanted to beat each other, I think, because more of that.
I know about the ataxia and stuff, how that works, and I'd look and see the spider web, and it was weird. You would have to look up ataxia for you guys out there. And what that's like. But first time I go to the restroom, is really, I had to get help,
Yeah, it's hard to walk with Ibogaine.
Definitely needed help. That would not been a good journey by myself. But then at the, last part, getting out, when, hey, you're done with your therapy, gonna head out to the,
when the nurses come and bring you to your room, or bring you to the recovery room.
Yeah. I needed help all the way there. I needed help walking around the facility after that at breakfast, or was breakfast when we got out?
Yeah, we did the day. We finished in the evening. You slept all the way through.
Oh yeah, so I needed help getting food. They had to get it for me. I had help get
Staff
the
were
room.
great,
Yeah, but after about an hour after that, the zero, completely flat. Just I go around
You're showing us your hands right now. You're not shaking, where you were shaking.
Like this is
before.
I was
The
shaking.
tremors are gone.
Yeah, especially, the tremors for me get set off by pain, anxiety, or stress, or all, right? And coming here to do the Ibogaine therapy, there's protocols, very, very intensive protocols, very good regimen to follow. But I couldn't take a lot of my pain medication that I used as enabled me, function on the day-to-day and help get around the tremors. So I've been basically feeling everything.
So your tremors have gotten worse in preparation to come because you had to drop the medications that help with the tremors.
But I was still able to walk around. But after the therapy, I wasn't able to walk.
Or was a part of you like, oh shit, this didn't work? Because you didn't understand the ataxia is part of the Ibogaine?
And it made me worse. It was like, oh no, it became more of a nightmare. It was already a nightmare going into it. But then it's like, oh no, what did I do? I now made it worse.
So in your head, you were after the Ibogaine for the day after however long.
I was a big FML. I was like...
You were pissed, probably.
Yeah, I was like, I love you, Tom.
So you were like seething inside. You were going to rip his head off. We should have, anyway.
But I mean,
I love you.
We flew here together, right? And there was times where Ian and I had to help Mike walk because he wasn't able to do it on his own. He would start to lose his balance and start to shake uncontrollably. And now to look at him now, you're not the same person.
Tell me about what shifted at what point after Ibogaine. What was your feeling? Like, oh my God.
It was an hour after-ish, I would say, that I was just noticing. I'm like, I'm completely flat. Like, when people would ask me about what's it like, what's going on, like when this is, happening. My girlfriend is funny. When I got put in the ER, and I was in just freaking, it looked like I'm having a seizure. It's that bad sometime. She's like, can't you just stop moving? No.
She thought you could tell your brain could tell your body to stop
moving.
So it was that bad where it looks like you're having seizures?
Seizures, yeah. I've been hospitalized 4 times in the last couple months prior to coming here.
It's a miracle. I mean, this is a miracle.
Yeah, no, I'm like...
when you noticed that you weren't shaking anymore, what did you say to yourself, or what did you do?
I just like, this isn't happening. This is too good to be true. This is a dream. I keep pinching myself. I keep stopping and looking. I'll stop and pause. I'll stand and pause and look at myself in a reflection where I'd usually see myself vibrating.
Throwing a rugby ball at him 3 days later, and he was brilliant.
Yeah.
So we've got one more career in you.
Yeah.
No more head injuries.
No. They have to tackle lower now.
Yeah, it's
you're a medical miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just it's
so
it's life-changing. It's life-changing.
Mark mentioned that after this you're going home to your doctor. You did a CT scan before.
I got my phone back. One of the first call I got, and it's funny, I'll go on my call log. I want to get a screenshot of it, but it's UCI Medical Center calling me, saying, confirming appointment for Monday morning. So when I get home this weekend, and come Monday, I'm going to go see my one of my doctors that diagnosed me with this movement disorder and Parkinson's-ish like symptoms. They're going to see me, and
they'll drop
they won't be able to believe it.
I think they'll drop their clipboard.
Yeah. And I can't wait for them to retest me and do all these things. I can't wait to see my can I say it that way?
Sure.
Fucking neurologist. I sat there and said, hey, Now, when I do your post-mortem autopsy and I take the guy from here, I'm going to look inside.
Yeah, draw that clock again.
I'm going to draw a fucking thing. I'm going to draw a finger. Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
There's just a little anger and
they should
hostility
know
here.
what's
no fighting.
possible.
Remember, no
Funny
fighting.
hostility.
Mhm.
I just can't wait to see them and just explain to them like, oh yeah, no, I didn't do anything. Oh yeah, you said this, you said that. Well, what's up? Sorry, I'm very hostile.
As you should be.
Yeah. But no, I just can't emphasize enough to the people out there that have the doubts that I had. And I'll be happy to go on and talk about my experience here and what it's done for me in mental, personal, financial, all the different aspects of my life. that it's
Physical.
impacted. Yeah, physical. Just there's so many aspects of my life that this has just brought me down to my knees. And now it's just got me this freaking hearts wide open.
You'll go on to help many
Yeah.
people.
Oh.
What about you, Chris or Mark? Anything you want to say about the benefits, how you're feeling, mood, memory, physically, for people out there who are listening and maybe don't believe that it's
I
possible?
think there's definitely, without doubt, the medicine. I think also, having sports guys, girls, or very similar-minded people together with the same trauma that we've had, knowing what we're living has helped as well. It might have been trickier for him, me, or certainly me coming in on my own with no link, nothing majorly in common. If I came in with an accountant or something, nothing wrong with that, but they're great.
A common bond.
Yes, and there's that link. We understand it. We're competitive. We can have a laugh, and I think there's that. But as we said off air, didn't I, Talia? I'm cautious not because of the treatment, it's because of the numbers that need this, and being able.
We can't reach everybody so quickly,
Yet,
and it needs
yet.
to really be done. This is very important to everyone
Yes.
out there with medical support. This is not something. Ibogaine has cardiac risks. We
Yeah.
have 13 full-time physicians, 25 ICU trained nurses. The level, the screening that takes place before. I mean, you guys know this. The lab work, the EKGs. During, you have a line in the whole time, an IV running with
No
electrolytes.
chest hair left because they keep putting the EKGs.
Drug tests every
Oh, yeah.
day.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, safety is key with this. And also, it's really about the therapeutic environment as well. Like, people have tried to do this, go to places that don't have coaching support, that don't have proper therapies around it. As every hour there's something programmed to get you in the mindset to help you afterwards. It's why people have very powerful experiences, because the setting is so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it's not something that people should just order offline and take on their own. In fact, it could actually damage their psyche even more, or they could have a cardiac event. So I think that's an important thing to talk about.
Yeah.
If I could jump in on that, is people you have working for you, it's absolutely phenomenal. Every individual you have working for you, every doctor, every nurse, right down to the staff that are cleaning your rooms, doing your laundry, cooking your meals.
The integration coaches.
Integration coaches.
Lorna.
The whole freaking deal is just so professional, so warm, so loving, so caring, so knowledgeable.
And I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of it too. For me personally, I've struggled with drug and alcohol abuse, depression, mood disorders my entire life. And the therapy that we get here with the integration coaches, with the daily gratitude circles, with the connections that you make with your fellow guests and patients here, the love and support is overwhelming. And
I think it's just as important as the medicine itself. It's medicine, the love that you get from the staff and the other clients, and that's a big part of the healing. Yeah.
I can honestly say that this has been the greatest week of my entire life. And, it's our last day here. and I'm excited to go home, but I'm sad to leave. So it's very bittersweet.
I'm hoping to relapse really soon so I can come back.
No, you'll come back
we
and
have
support
future retreats.
cohorts.
Yeah.
You'll
He's
come
not.
as a support.
Oh, no, I'm shaking again.
You're going to
Yeah.
start faking. You're shaking.
Yeah, he is. He's
I'm
missing it.
going
He's missing
to the
it.
market again. Oh, my
Don't
God.
do that.
A potato.
To that end, I'm
You can edit this
planning
out.
on going through the Being True to You coaching certification so that I can come back and help other athletes,
It's
like
a great
ourselves
way
who
to
are
give
struggling.
back. You can come back and coach and
And that's a
support.
big one we should say. Garrick and
Yeah, shout out to Garrett, John,
yeah,
Marty.
I feel so bad.
Wow.
Why?
We give him a hard
We
time.
got him scolded so many times.
We like to have
Given
fun,
him
and sometimes it
by
gets
the
us in
staff.
We
trouble.
pushed him right
Yeah,
to
you
the edge.
pushed him,
Yeah,
I'm
he
sure.
was so patient
Yeah,
with us. He
yeah.
could have easily lost it.
He might do a hard reset
Yeah.
off of one of the buildings.
But we
think-
couldn't say enough good things
No.
about this place, from the ownership, you and Tom, to the coaches, to the staff, to the patients. It's been a truly remarkable experience.
Yeah, and seeing two big
Thank you.
military guys come, all into it like this with John and Gary was what caught me. Look at this. Something wrong with these guys? How these are big, strong ex-military lads that absolutely believe in this.
God,
I was
John's
part
a
way
great
on the
guy.
plane, but exactly what Mark said there. I can't thank you enough, and I just hope the Brits don't pile into you and pester you and chase you too hard. But I think
It's a good problem to have.
Thank you.
I think
We
you're
need
gonna get
to-
invaded again.
I hope we can work on making this more accessible to many more people that need it, athletes and others in general. So you guys sharing your stories is very valuable. And final wrap-up question. What would you tell your younger self before the damage, knowing that there's something like Ibogaine out there?
For me personally, I'm a big silver lining guy. So I always try to find the good in the bad, right? And I wouldn't be here if it were not for all those things. I've been telling Mike over and over, the universe still has a plan for you. So all this pain and suffering that you've had to go through, like one day you'll be able to help other people like you who are badly afflicted by their injuries from their TBIs, their drug and alcohol abuse problems. I'm grateful because it all led me here, and now being able to come back in the future and be a coach, those experiences will be invaluable to me in helping heal my community.
For me, it's almost exactly the same. I don't think I would change anything, if nothing else, from meeting these guys, but also let's get ahead of it. Let's accept that it's, as I've said, the damage is done, but there's a chance to heal, get better. There's hope there, rather than this despair of, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to, I can't handle this. Exactly what you've just heard. Here's something that gives them you've still got another 20, 30 years, and you can live it and enjoy it, not decline and pull your family and friends down, which is what the feeling that you have is. So thank you again.
Thank you.
What would I tell my younger self?
Here we go.
Here we go. No, I'll say something serious. What would I tell my younger self? There's a number of things. One of them would be about the TBIs, being more cognizant and understanding of what could happen as a result of my decisions to keep fighting. The other thing would be to plan better ahead of your transition out into the next phase of life, because you can't fight your whole life. You have to eventually find some avenue of new ways to make money. I see, BJ Penn comes up, other
It's
fighters
heartbreaking.
out there. You see so many fighters. I see so many fighters out there that are absolute legends. There always will be a legend, but they're tarnishing themselves and their well-being and their legacy they're leaving behind of being, a winner, on their record they have, because they're looking at, hey, I need the only way they feel they can make a good amount of money quickly is to take another fight, I was one of those guys. I was 39 years old when I had my last fight. I should have never have fought. I fought with a left side of my face, titanium, broken. I had a right arm I couldn't use. I needed a shoulder replacement, full shoulder replacement. And he said, hey, make those adjustments, plan ahead, so that's the things I would be banging on my head. So.
And that healing is possible for all of these people.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't have, the amount of time and effort I put into thinking about how I want to freaking take myself out of this, being on this side of the dirt. You know, I was thinking about literally 2 days before coming here to seek Ibogaine and the help you guys provide. I was thinking about just unbuckling my car and driving my car into a freeway pylon. So yeah, that's how bad it was.
You didn't.
And I'm so glad I didn't either, because
But you had no idea what was on the other side.
I know.
That's the big thing. He's
Yeah,
getting this out there.
People don't know it's
They've got to get
possible.
this out there now.
Yeah.
Ibogaine,
Too big a secret.
Ibogaine, you know, for the people out there that have all these issues, even if you're not a fighter, people got TBIs.
4 million people a year in America have a TBI.
Yeah.
4 million people a year in the U.S.,
It's
70
not
million
just fighters.
worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm a cyclist too, you know, cyclists, we freaking get obliterated by cars or have hard accidents.
There's domestic violence.
Domestic
You
violence.
could slip in the
There's
tub
a
and
lot
hit your
of
head.
kids
Yeah.
on playgrounds.
But even depression, things like that, you know,
Depression,
genetic, you know,
There's
they're
hope.
inherited.
There's hope.
Yeah, there's something else.
Yeah.
Even if it takes 10% off or increase their
Yeah.
day in, day out life by 10%, it's
Yeah.
got to be worth it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you guys. Keep sharing
you
your
so much.
story.
Thank
and
you.
So much
Hopefully
for having
we
us.
can change policy and get more people
Yeah.
the support and help they
Big
need.
thank you, Tom
Thank
Lana.
you so much.
Pleasure.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
wonderful to have you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor. If people want to reach each one of you, or where can they find you? Mark?
On Instagram, Mark the Shark Irwin. We also have a page for our nonprofit Athletes Journey Home on Instagram, or you can go to athletesjourneyhome.com for more information or to donate, so that we can have future retreats like this at Beond to help more athletes in need.
Thank you. And Chris, what about you? Where can people find you?
Mine's
about your project. too.
Tempest Group Villages. If you search that in Google, we do have all the handles, but unfortunately my memory's not as great yet, although it will grow now.
Tempest Group.
Villages, yeah.
Villages.
The first one's in York in the north of England, beautiful city, and then hopefully Manchester, London. We're already looking at the US one. We have some NFL players and another one in Australia. So fingers crossed there's somewhere for these athletes and military to go for a break or to live if they need to.
Incredible. Mike, where can we find you?
You can get a hold of me, text me, call me anytime you like. Area code 911.
I've got his number.
Area code 911. No, just don't do that. Michael Guymon, let's see, Joker Guymon on Instagram, or you could email me at mike@mx2gp.com, and I'd be happy. I'm always available for any question, anything that I could help anybody going through the situations that I've been through, whether it be in fighting, whether it be the tremors and the Parkinson's-like issues, anything to help take somebody out of a dark spot where they may be thinking those negative things we've all thought of.
You're here to help. That's really
Here to help.
beautiful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being on.
Brilliant.
Such a
Thank you.
pleasure.